You're on the podcast with Dino and Ashley. A little bit more upbeat and chipper this morning, huh?
Yes, and Dino deflated
Should I go get it?
Foxy's balloon.
I should have done
Well,
that.
she popped it this morning, her birthday balloon. He was like, wait, give it to me. And he took the helium in his mouth, and I was like, you should have saved it to do the intro.
There's some left.
It's too hard to get out of this seat.
I know.
Once you're in it, you're
locked in here.
You can't get out.
I forgot my headphones, and it was a major inconvenience.
Blow up fight.
Yeah, major inconvenience.
5 seconds.
I just told you to get your headphones.
Didn't I ask you?
Dino.
Okay, so we thought it would be fun to start off kind of like off of last week's topic, what we were talking about. This will be our hot take.
Well, you ever leave a conversation, you're like, dang it, I wish I would have had this as a comeback. You know what I'm saying?
So we thought we would give some examples of what we do to impress one another and the things. So it's like some, physical stuff and then other just like serving things. So I'll go first.
Are we going to go back and forth or do all yours and then all mine? Because this is what I said. I texted Ash and I was like, hey, come up with like 8 or so things that like I
have
do
this idea
as
of
examples.
Let's come up with some. I'm just kidding.
It's funny because Ash always takes.
We already said that before.
I know, but listen, not everybody listens to every podcast. All right.
I had this really great idea about just.
That's a good idea.
Okay, go.
I like it. Do you want to go for in any case? I thought it'd be good to give examples because people are like, well, what do you actually do? Like, what are you guys talking about here?
Totally. I just said that. I love it.
You are the worst. I'm the best. I love you. All right, go ahead.
All right. So Dino makes my shake. I said that one. He makes my shake for me in the evening, so I have it ready in the morning.
Are these in order, like the top things, like number 1, or is this number
Make
10?
My shake. This is the first one that came to my head. Okay.
That means it's got to be number 1. So this is the thing I need to be doing every single day, then, apparently,
exactly.
because it really means a lot to you.
No. You wear cologne, which I love.
This was on my list. All right, I had. So I'll jump in. She wears perfume.
Okay.
Because, all right, just to touch on this specific one, what it's doing is it's saying, hey, I'm making myself smell good because I want you to smell me. I want you
I do feel like
right?
that out of all of them, ones like this is one that is super intentional of the topic that we were talking about.
Yeah,
Making my shake, that's an act of serving.
Yeah.
Which is, you're trying to impress me that way.
Yeah.
But wearing the cologne is like, ooh, like you see it on your counter and you're like, I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to spray that on me because I know Ash loves that. Yeah. And
It's
you
true.
like do it. And then, as soon as I smell it too.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that smells so good. And it's like this little flirty dance that we play with each other.
This is good.
And then I do the same thing with the perfume when you match with me and dress like me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to need these notes after. Can I keep that?
Yeah. I wrote really random notes. When you shave or don't shave, because I'll go through different weird things where I'm like, I want you to be like super shaved.
That one's actually number 1 on my list. It's not on my list.
It should be.
But I do actually quite appreciate it.
Them like hairs are crazy these days.
You were quiet for a while there, not knowing if that was a joke or not.
I'm like peeking over at your list.
Is that really on there?
Every once in a while too, I'll be like, I really want you to grow a mustache. And then Dino will do it. And it'll be this weird mustache fetish of mine for a while. And then I'll look at him after a couple months and I'll be like, get that freaking mustache off your face. I don't know what it's doing here or who brought it in, but we need to get rid of it now.
You use the word fetish, and I feel like that is an appropriate use because it is weird.
It is weird.
Like this, all right?
Yes, I know.
Should not be
because it's like I want it and then I don't want it. That's the only
Get
one.
that off your face. And it normally happens like 11 o'clock at night.
I'll be looking at him. I'm like, what have we been doing?
Yeah.
I loved it, but now I need it gone.
Away from me now. Get that off your face.
Okay, I'll wrap mine up. Sometimes I like Dino's shirt buttoned. See, I'm letting you into like the weird stuff now. These are just weird things. The next one is I like it when Dino wears his shirts like super high up. It's basically like choking him out and he hates it so much. But every once in a while he'll do it like super high, like all the way buttoned to the top. It's just like a look. And then other times he'll go like in a deep and we get like no buttons, and I'm into that too. So it's kind of whatever.
I hate the super tight button because here's the problem. The shirts always fit me a bit odd. They're hard for me to get into, any given shirt. And if the neck is correct size, then everything else is poofy on me. So normally if I get a shirt that fits me nicely, it's really tight in the neck and it kills me. I almost want to.
I know.
Struggle.
That's what I'm saying. It's a sacrifice for you.
It is a sacrifice. I will do it.
Oh, okay. And then just other things. You fluff the bed for us. That's really nice. Fill up my gas tank for me so I don't have to do that. Working out, just taking care of your body physically and like going to the gym, disciplining
yourself. A lot of acts
yourself.
of service ones for you on this generalist, not the last one, but yeah.
Yeah. And then intentional about food, which we all know is really important to me.
Yeah. That one's the lowest on the list, but I think it's the most important. It's funny how I'm like going through each one of them as you and like kind of self-assessing things. Food is probably the most important one for you, but I'm the most consistent with it because look, that one pays dividends. All right.
Well,
we all know.
But I really feel like it's the intention of the little things and then the acts of service for me.
Yeah. Number one on my list is when you are sexually aggressive with me, because predominantly men are the aggressors. So anytime that, I'm always the one that's instigating coming after you. So
yours aren't in order though. This would probably be last on the list.
It's last for sure.
Okay.
When you're intentional about touch. Yeah. So if we're just sitting somewhere and you just reach over and are touching me.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it says to me, hey, like right now while we're doing this random thing, I want you and I want to be connected with you.
Yeah.
And for me, that like means a lot. I can tell when you're basically meditating on me in a positive state, if there's something going on that has you thinking more in a negative type of way. I can tell in your behavior and the way you look at me, the way you talk to me, the way you just generally interact with me. So that's a big one. You do your nails, bras you wear, or the clothes you wear, things that I like.
Yeah.
I've always had like just general head issues where I will get in my head too much and things like that. But you can read me and you know that I'm that way. And instead of taking any kind of offense to anything that's going on or seeing that I'm having negative reactions towards you because I'm having mental issues or whatever, you come alongside me and you calm me down. You're like, hey, I know what's actually going on right now. So being able to like know me so well that you see through the crap and you help me to kind of like calm down, chill out, move past it, work through it, that kind of thing. Like that's just an aspect of closeness that you and I have because you know me so well and we've been together so long. And you've been intentional about trying to do that. Anytime you sacrifice any of your wants and your needs for things that I want and I need, that's obviously like really important. You get me like coffee and food. So if you're out and about doing something and you're thinking about me and you bring me home food and stuff, I really like that one. You come home, when I come home or come in the door, if it's not like a hey and it's like a hey, you come to me like, oh, daddy's home, like that's no big deal. But if it's like, oh, you're home, I want you, I need you. It's just very like, man, I come home and my girl wants me.
The thing is, though, you work at home, so you never come home.
I know.
I always come home.
You're the homecomer. Oh, yeah. So the last one I wanted to kind of mention here, this is more anecdotal and doesn't have to do with specifically to us. This is more along the lines of encouraging everybody else. So we've gone through a general list now of a bunch of things that are important to both of us. I think it's important to keep in mind, I've done this and you've done this as well. You do things that you think are impactful for your spouse that you are doing to try and impress them, but it doesn't actually move the needle at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big thing with people that first get married or are getting to know each other.
Exactly.
We tend to serve our spouses in the ways that we want to be served.
Yeah.
Then we miss out on opportunities because we just don't know. And then we are frustrated too when they're not appreciative of the serving.
Yep.
It's like, I just did all that stuff for you and I just like cleaned up the room, and you're like, I don't care if the room is clean at all.
I don't care. Yeah, exactly. Like laundry.
There's a huge disconnect.
Like I'm appreciative of the fact that you contribute to our household in that manner, but if all of our laundry was dirty and I just don't care. I don't care. I'll wear dirty stuff. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's not like, oh, she did the laundry,
Yes. And this is why I've passed it on to the children.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like in general, that's just a message I want to make sure everybody else is aware of, because a lot of times too, you will build up a case for yourself saying, I'm doing so good for them. Look, I even do their laundry. but it's a lie.
Yes.
You're just telling yourself, I admit that I do this. I do XYZ for her. That should mean something to her. She shouldn't be complaining that I'm not doing these things. She's told you she doesn't care about that. You're just trying to build a case up.
Yeah.
Don't bolster up some sort of version of yourself higher than it actually is. And if your spouse is saying, hey, the things you're doing are not actually impactful, they're not actually like impressing me, or I mean, that would be kind of brutal to say that. But in general, like if that's the message that's coming across, listen to it, understand maybe there needs to be some adaptation in how you're interacting with your spouse.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean we stop doing all other work or serving. Like there's just a form of serving in our household that we are all a part of.
Yes.
Each of us. And that's why it's so important to have your faith grounded in the Lord and have like a strong, firm foundation and relationship with him, so that you aren't having everything hanging by a thread by the validations of your spouse or your family.
Yeah.
But
That's a good point.
I take care of our house because I want to serve the family.
Yeah.
Because I'm working under the Lord. It's not for gold stars next to every chore.
Even going down to impressing you needs to be, the foundation of that needs to not be, hey, I'm just trying to make them love me or something like that. It's like, hey, God commands this of me.
Yeah.
God commands me to be a husband that treats my wife in this way. And it says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That's my command.
Yeah.
And part of loving is ensuring that you feel loved by me. Like we are, as husband and wife, a picture of Christ in the church. I'm supposed to be representing Christ in this relationship. Therefore, I have to, that's the standard under which I have to try and represent to like the rest of to the family and things like that.
Yeah. That
picture. Therefore, I need to be so self-sacrificing that I'm starting to show the rest of the family this picture, So that's a very, very high standard.
It's the day after Thanksgiving. We basically just wrote a list of the things that we're thankful for. That we do, the other person does, and then we read it to each other, which we didn't even plan to do, or we didn't read them to each other beforehand. And as you were reading yours, I thought this is actually a great thing to sit and just write 10 things that they're thankful for that the other person does.
Yeah.
Whether it's acts of service or just little things that we notice. Not only for yourself, just to have that thought process in the thoughts controlling our words, controlling our actions sort of thing for yourself, but also to read it out loud to the other person. It's showing them love as well.
Absolutely. This is such a great idea. And man, that's such a good perspective. I actually totally forgot about the fact that it was Thanksgiving and what we just did was being thankful.
Yeah.
That was good. That was cool that you saw that. I totally didn't even see it. Be fun and playful with your spouse. There's an opportunity here to grow and just, I don't know, it's a private playground for you and your spouse to be able to do life together. Go and have fun. Be playful. Don't let it like get overgrown with garbage and not have that fun playground with your spouse.
We get too serious with the life, and trust me, we have a lot of stuff we could be serious about.
I know.
The finances
it'd be very easy for you and I to just slip into being roommates.
Yeah. We've never actually talked about, I don't think, the Enneagram and what numbers we are.
Yeah.
Have we?
No. But let's do it.
Because that kind of, I don't know if you guys, well, I'm sure everyone's heard of the Enneagram now, but we're not super into like test thingies like that. And with anything like that, it's used as a information, possibly a tool, and then that's it. Like, it's not like your identity.
No.
We are not fans of people that are like, well, I'm I don't even know what I am.
I'm a Libra.
Yeah. And this is who I am. I'm allowed to be mean to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, that's not the way. We have one identity, and it's in Christ.
Amen.
And then everything else is just like more information.
Yep.
But
the Enneagram's from the devil.
Everyone has their own thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But it was really, really helpful for us.
And for those who don't know what it is, it's generally a personality test it groups you into one of 9 general personalities-ish.
Yeah. We had an issue with friends for years because when we lock on to like a couple, we would like lock on to them. You know, they would become our like number one people, and we'd want to hang out with them all the time. We're ride or die. We're all or nothing, and we go hard.
We're one friend kind of people.
Yeah, we go really, really, really deep. And we just, you know, loyalty is really, really big to us. So we just want like the safe friend that we can tell everything to, and we just can bear it all sort of thing. So what we realized though is that we would make these couple friends, and then we would always be let down. And we'd give them everything. We'd hang out and want to hang out. And should we ask them to hang out again? Like, why should we be afraid to ask another adult couple to hang out again? But we would, because then we would ask them and they'd let us down, and we just constantly be let down. All that to say, we ended up taking this test at a friend's house while we were having dinner with them.
And I was very reluctant. I'm like, I do not want to do this, but I will do this thing for you.
Yeah. So we ended up taking it. And it blew our minds with each other, and I'll get to that. But just to wrap up the friend thing, but it also helped us so much with friends, because we realized, so we are the same exact number, Dino and I. So it makes sense. So, and I'll get into that in a second. With other friends, then realizing this other couple we were at dinner with, what they were and their personalities and how they are together. I'm like, no wonder. I mean, you don't need to take a test to realize this, but it took a test for us to realize that, oh, other people are just different than us.
What?
I know. What? And they don't have the same like reactions to things, and they don't have, just because they can't hang out doesn't mean that they don't like us. They're just not like us.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But it was like this mind-blowing thing for us that we needed to realize. So with Dino and I and our number, so we are the same exact.
Wait, are you saying that all the way to come back to the fact that like, hey, you and your spouse very well could not be the same, therefore you should be serving your spouse in a way that they might need? Is that what, how did you get on this?
How did I get in the Enneagram?
Yes.
Well, you just said that you and I could easily fall into this trap of like doing life side by side.
Yeah.
And so I was going to say what we are like according to the Enneagram and what that means for us. And that, so we are both challengers.
Which basically means we have significant issues with authority.
Yes. So yes, we could go through life just side by side, just dominating and like doing our thing, working hard, like seeming like we are doing life together, but we're really just going side by side doing our thing because we're really good at doing our things, you know, and going hard at it. I mean, when we read the test, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so us. It says like, it even said on the test, because it says what your numbers are together.
Well, you can go, all right, so we do our own test, find out your number, but then there's another website that'll tell you, hey, what are the relationship dynamics of this number and this number?
Yeah.
So you can even look up like, oh, I'm a 4 and my sister's a 2. What's that like? You know?
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was really insightful on a lot of things, but for us specifically reading, so we're both 8-wing 7s, which is a challenger with an enthusiast. A 7 is an enthusiast, meaning the enthusiast likes to do things, eat food, adventure, which is, yes. I think that I probably was more that when we first got married, and then just being married, we just merged into the same human.
Yeah. Especially at such a young.
Yeah, because we got married so young.
Total tangent. I highly recommend people get married very young and become who you are together. Continue.
Look we even say the words at the same time. No, so the test was said to us, this couple will either like destroy one another because they're like fire together.
And it basically butt heads all the time.
Butt heads.
You're not in charge of me. Yes. I'm not in charge of you.
Or if they can come together and work together, they will not only build the house, but they'll take the vacation and they'll run the business. And it was like, what? Like, this is insane. Like, we could see that. And we took this test when we were living in the trailer at the time. And so we were just unlocking, it was like 9 years into our marriage, just unlocking some stuff and this new life that we wanted to live together. And it was so cool to read that, because we were like, yes, we can see that in ourselves, that if we are intentional, we can crush life together. If we go our separate ways and just do life side by side, it's going to be miserable. We'll get some stuff accomplished because we are hard workers, it's not going to be fun.
No.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of fun to share. Like,
Yeah.
it is a fun little tool to have and to read. Like, I've loved reading about even like our dynamics of who we work well with, alongside with. And I can see that in like all my friends and stuff that,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
who it's not like I ask people their number. I forgot about the Enneagram, honestly, until now. It's been years since we've even thought about it. But if people bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, you are a 2. Cause I definitely love having 2s by my side. 2s are helpers.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, 8s and 2s end up being very good friends most of the time because 2s want to help somebody, but they don't have the assertion. They don't know like the things they want to go after. So having an 8 as a close friend allows them to have like a lot of meaning because they feel like they can go in and support. And then 8s at times can struggle to go and complete things because they're constantly going after things, which is very much in line with you and I. I feel like you and I definitely need people around us. And I think that that's another good just general tangent is that I think it's important to understand who you are and what you want and need, especially in the context of your marriage, and then understanding who your spouse is and then what they want and what they need in the context of like their personality.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good, I would highly recommend people go do the Enneagram with your spouse and then read your spouses. And then you can go and just Google like Enneagram relationship or number relationship or something like that. And it'll tell you what happens when the two of you get together and the opportunities and the negative possibilities as well. And then just be aware. It's like, hey, maybe these things could potentially cause issues.
Well, I think
I can be intentional about it.
Especially insightful too, because we're so different, because most couples are very different. The individuals are very different inside the relationship. And we just don't understand. Like we were saying earlier, I'm serving you right now with, doing the dishes. Why isn't that speaking to you? Like I just served you. And it's like, well, it's not that it doesn't mean something that you did the dishes, but that's not necessarily important to me the way that it is to you. And just to understand one another at that level is huge. Yeah. And that's what removes just any barrier, I feel like, within the marriage. Like it takes away walls because you just can see each other more clearly for who they are and what the individual's needs are.
Well, it takes your eyes off yourself.
Yeah.
Because
that's what it is.
For me, I'm just constantly looking. It's the Dino show.
Yeah.
Everything in my life revolves around me and what it is that I want and what it is that I need. And what's needed is for you to take your eyes off yourself and say, hey, let me invert this for a sec at the very least, to be able to say, hey, what does my spouse need? That's just being intentional in your marriage, saying, I'm not just going to do life for myself anymore. I'm going to do it for us. I'm going to try and see what else there could be other than just the Dino show, Yeah.
I love that we actually weren't going to be talking the whole podcast about this, but it ended up kind of being that way. And I think this is going to happen a lot. There are things that are so valuable that we are going to repeat all the time, because it's like we've said, it's not just something that you learn once and then you're just like, oh, I do this now.
Yeah.
No. We are learning this and relearning it for 18 years, and we'll keep relearning it for 40 years. Yeah. The same thing. And it's something so simple. Oh, taking your eyes off yourself, serving your spouse, communicating and asking them what is important to them, sitting down and writing things that you're thankful for. These are like elementary, simple things, but it's so hard for us to do it because there's so much other crap that's in the way of us getting even to the intimacy to be able to have conversations like this.
Yeah. It takes vulnerability on my part to tell you the things that I want from you, because then what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, I'm going to show you what it is that I really like from you. And if you don't do it now, basically that's painful, right? That puts me in a vulnerable position to say, hey, I'm going to expose what's important to me. I would say, number one, make sure you're aware of that with your spouse, to say, hey, this person is not normally like this. They're not normally one to come and talk to me about the things that are important to them. I should listen. And there's if they're being vulnerable in that area, I'm now going to be intentional about it. And if there's walls in your marriage, I can tell you this much, that's a very fast way to take a bunch of walls down, is one person being vulnerable and the other person receiving that and allowing that to like build a bit of a bridge and a bond between the two of you, you know? So if the spouse is talking about something, make sure you're listening. Yeah. Make sure you're being intentional about trying to make a change in that thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think this is a great one to starting the holiday season with taking our eyes off of ourselves and putting it onto our spouse, being thankful for one another. I think this is a good little...
You're really beautiful. I'm just saying.
Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Total tangent. Zach, you can take that off if you want.
No, you better leave that, Zach. I love how we just talked to Zach. It'd be really funny if Zach should just leave all of the time. Everyone's gonna be like, man, we need to meet Zach.
I know. Everybody's so curious.
Because we have little things. Zach, you can take that out. Okay, I just thought it'd be fun to finish with one little story. Like, I don't know why. This just popped into my head because we're coming into Christmas season, communicating with each other, taking our eyes off of ourselves. So I don't know if you know this, but when we first got married, Dino and I, we'd give gifts to each other for Christmas.
Man, I was so curious where you're going with this.
What did you think I
had no idea. I had no idea.
I was just going to tell the story.
Do it.
Of the gifts that you gave me the first, like...
You love to tell this story. This is one of these stories.
I bring up at parties. It's my party.
Like, listen how dumb my husband used to be.
No, but this just shows like how cool. It's not dumb because it's just cool to see where we started and then where you can get to, and you're so different now, and it's amazing. We both are. I guess so. My family's like super traditional.
For the record, every time she tells this story, my side of it gets a little bit different and a little bit worse. I think. Right.
Why don't you tell the story then?
No. This is your story. I'll let you tell it.
My family is super traditional. Like everything, you give gifts on holidays. You give cards on holidays. Everything was celebrated. I'm expecting stockings filled and all the stuff. Very into getting the gifts. It's like the Christmas Eve and my mom comes over and she's like, so Dino, are you ready for Christmas? Like, do you have everything? Dino's like, no. And was it Christmas Eve or Christmas morning?
I don't know.
Well, Dino had nothing for my stocking and the gifts were interesting. So I think you ran to the store and you just bought...
I actually don't believe any part of this story is real anymore. It's now become like 6 different years of different holidays and birthdays all jammed into one story now. And it's like just become, it has a life of its own, this story.
Well, I'm just going to tell you what my brain remembers.
It's like half what you remember, half of what your mom has contrived and made up and told to like 18 different people.
It's funny because it's so true, because I know you're right. Okay, well, the moral of the story is Dino went to Rite Aid, bought a bunch of junk candy.
It was Target.
Through Target, threw it in my stocking. Then he bought me size 11 slippers, extra large underwear. Like, he just went around the store and just like grabbed stuff that didn't fit my body at all, or like nothing that I liked. I was just like so disappointed the next day, which was awful because it was the thought that counted, but there was no thought to it. That's the whole point of the whole story.
So the reality of it is I got her maybe one thing that was just a little bit too oversized. And then, and now it's been built up in your mind as this, like, you shattered the world.
The point of me bringing it up, though, is that back then there was no thought or intention as much. It was just like, oh, I need to check a box sort of thing, And it wasn't like anything, you didn't know any better. That's just how you grew up, and you still loved me, but you didn't realize that, like, thoughts should, I should put a little bit of intention into it.
Even the first year, we barely knew each other.
Yeah.
Barely knew each other. You would do things. I didn't like that type of behavior. So, for example, you're like, I really have an expectation for a whole bunch of things for Christmas. I really want all this stuff. And I was like, ugh, this is great. I'm not getting you all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. Fine. You want some stuff? Here's a whole bunch of stuff. Check the box for you. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like spiteful. I was that level of immature.
Yeah.
I'm still very immature, but on different areas.
But friendly now. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's so cool to see the work and the intention and the Lord just breaking us down, stripping us of every awfulness that we are, and him just refining us every year together just into a deeper, more intimate couple.
Well, what's funny now, we were actually talking about this specifically, this whole gift thing. It was funny because the kids were like, oh, Dad, you were so dumb and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait. Let's just unpack the differences now between all this. Yes, I was dumb and didn't get Mom presents, but Mom had such an
emphasis.
Yes. Yeah. An overemphasis on what her expectations were and how much it meant to be given a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. But when I really look back at that, there was 2 reasons. I grew up that way, and that was the model that I had in front of me that you had to. But when I really think about it, like, why? And then second is that I had such a light like relationship with the Lord. Like I barely knew him, and he hadn't like penetrated my heart and stripped away all the awfulness of me yet. Yep. So I just was always seeking for, well, I need a gift or I need something because that will fill me up for this moment. Yeah. I needed something to fill me up.
In so many ways, you've very much changed, but in that way specifically, because you're not looking for gifts that I'm giving you so you can get some sort of dopamine high. If you will get something from me now, it's the gift is inconsequential. It's the bond that you and I get because of it, you know? So what that's done now is you've completely changed where you don't want anything or care about me giving you any. I have many like this last anniversary, we just gave each other nothing. And I felt like garbage afterwards, by the way. But not because of you, but because I was like, man, that was an opportunity. Because now what I do is I do buy you things like gifts for, anniversaries, Christmas. Normally I go pretty big now because I very much like it. It's not because you're like, oh, I want this and this and this. It's your heart posture is of this stuff doesn't matter to me. I mean, this is beautiful. You can walk by something and really appreciate it. And then I'm like, man, she deserves everything. I want to give her anything. I want to give her all this stuff. So it's funny to kind of talk with the kids about how much you've changed. Yeah. Of course, I've changed as well. But just to kind of, we were unpacking this specific topic with them and trying to walk through the changes that have happened between you and I. The wrong mentality we had back then with me and giving and just checking a box and you getting because you wanted to get like an emotional high off of the thing. Yeah. It had nothing to do with what it's supposed to be, which is an opportunity for me and you to have like a closer bond because of a holiday and show appreciation for one another. And
I'm glad we shared that story.
Indeed. All right.
Zach, don't take that out.
Don't do it.
All right. Well, this was a fun one. Yeah. Let's start the holiday season, being thankful for our spouses. I'm glad that we did that. And I think that that's a fun thing to kind of kick off the holidays with. And, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay. See you guys next time.
Bye.